Good day, my plant foldies. Today I will be taking you to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, Texas. This is day 2. This is going to be my recap of the Dallas PlantCon that just happened recently. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at GrowFolds. And if you enjoy daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel with the notification bell on. As you can see, this is day 2 at PlantCon. I happened to get there around noontime. I ended up sleeping in just because I was at what type of plants are left from PlantCon. For those that have tuned into all of my PlantCon videos for Dallas, thank you so much. And if you haven't seen my PlantCon 2024 Houston video, please check that out. I am super excited to be going to more plant conventions. I will be going to the Texas Aroid Show in Houston on October 26th. So I hope to meet up with anybody who loves plants out there. But as you can see right here, day 2 is still quite busy. I know that Houston PlantCon day 2 wasn't nearly as busy, but day 2 for the Dallas PlantCon seems to have quite a bit of people still. I had a lot of fun meeting up with a lot of the plant foldies, and you can see Toltec plants right there. There goes Pearl in her booth. I love Toltec plants. If you guys haven't seen how beautiful the Toltec plants are, definitely check out my day 1 plant shopping video for PlantCon Dallas. I have parts 1, 2, and 3. They're all an hour-and-a-half long. But as you can see here, I didn't get to actually film Dee Dee's Plants and Pets. Now, Dee Dee's plants, I believe, is based out in California, and she did mention that her booth was pretty much sold through, and she was saying that it was kind of embarrassing that it wasn't as full. I mentioned that I was literally just filming some of the plants. That is a good thing that she sold through quite a bit of the plants. I did love her setup. She had quite a bit of Aglaonemas on the first day, but you can see right over here plant foldies. And for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. It's because this channel was originally an origami ASMR channel. It has now converted to a daily plant shopping video, daily plant content, and that is the reason why I call everybody plant foldies. Now, I will be showing some more origami paper cranes in some of my future videos. But anyway, so go back to PlantCon. You can see right over here, look at how gorgeous this Anthurium luxurians is. So the one thing I did gain a lot of appreciation for PlantCon was the love for Anthuriums. I always had this notion that Anthuriums were quite challenging of a plant to grow, but ever since I got an Anthurium from Green Spaces ID, I imported one from Indonesia, and I ended up getting some more Anthuriums, growing them in semi-hydroponics, whether it's Leca or Pon, which is my newest obsession. I've actually been converting a lot of my Alocasia into Pon. Actually makes growing Anthuriums quite easy. Now over here is a very nice looking variegated Monstera Peru. I ended up getting one of these as well from Green Spaces ID. I featured them on some of my previous PlantCon videos, so definitely check it out. Definitely follow them on Instagram at Green Spaces ID. Let them know you know them from Richie at GrowFolds. But you can see right here, Dee Dee's Plants has quite a bit of cute looking plants, lots of uncommon and rare plants. Like, look at how stunning this Philodendron Florida Beauty is. And you can see that it's got quite a bit of variegation. I believe this is for $85. Now with Philodendron Florida Beauty, you do want to give it quite a bit of bright indirect light to really influence the type of variegation it gives. The more light you provide it, the better chances of it having that nice variegation. Now that Philodendron definitely needs to have a pole to actually climb on. Actually, the majority of plants need poles. And you can see right there, that is another gorgeous Philodendron Florida Beauty. We've got this, and I love this. This is a Philodendron Nuclear Congo, or Philodendron Congo Nuclear for $50. I got lucky by being able to find a starter planter of this particular Philodendron from Hives Plant. But again, that is a beautiful Philodendron, nice variegation. And the thing about it is, a lot of these plants from Dee Dee's plants actually are a nice starter plant. Now, these plants will eventually grow into nice mature specimens. You just have to make sure, especially with a lot of the Philodendron, bright indirect light is really the top notch light you can give a lot of these Philodendrons and aroids that you see at PlantCon. Most of them will not tolerate full sun or direct light. And if you give them lower light conditions, their growth is going to be a lot more stunted. So that is what, you know, one thing that you want to keep in mind. Now, plant foldies, you can see right here, Alocasia corms. These are all for $10, and she's got different types of them. We've got the scalp broom right here, and you can see that it is in sphagnum moss. We've got the Milo, and then we've got some other Alocasias. Now, whenever I started taking the soil out of my Alocasias, I was able to harvest a couple of Alocasia corms. So we'll see if I can propagate them, but that is a quick way to multiply and propagate your Alocasias, is through corm hunting. And then over here, we have another anthurium. I really like the look of the stems, that red stem. And what I like about anthuriums is there are so many different varieties of anthuriums, so many hybrids. Same thing with Alocasia. So this is an Alocasia bisma. She's reduced it from 30 to 10. And what I found interesting is on day 2 PlantCon, a lot of the pricing for a lot of plants were reduced, whether you will find them for 25% off, or you can see right over here, this one from 30 to 10. I know that Didi was trying to sell a Monstera Thai Constellation, a huge one, which he reduced to $500, which I thought was really a steal because it was a very large, mature plant. Now over here, we have a Philodendron Hederaceum, just a regular one, the green version for $12. Now this is one of the plants. Now most people will say it's a basic, common plant, but it is a gorgeous plant. I love the heart-shaped leaves that it has, and it's just a fast grower. Same thing with an Enjoy Pothos. Now Epipremnum aureum Enjoy Pothos, love this. If you're able to actually grow this, and this is only for $16, if you're able to get this plant to grow on a totem pole, a moss pole, you can get the leaves to actually size up quite substantially, and it is such a beautiful variegated plant. Here we have an Epipremnum aureum Global Green Pothos. I love Global Green Pothos. This one is for $20. And the thing about Global Green Pothos, it is a Japanese pothos. It was one that was discovered through a mutation in Japan. And I will say you need to make sure that you watch through this whole video, because I will be featuring rare Japanese pothos that were only shown in the United States for the first time in its full entirety, you know, the whole collection of the Teruno series in this video. So definitely check that out. But you can see right over here, we've got another beautiful Jose Buono, I think Philodendron. I'm not 100% sure. This one is for $70, but look at how gorgeous that variegation is on the leaves. Very ghostly indeed. And the thing about Didi's plants and pets, she had quite a bit of plants from the very first day, but you can see that there's still quite a bit of plants. Like right over here, this was probably the most sought after variegated Alocasia. This is a variegated Alocasia Frydek, and this one is for $70. I did want to shout out my friend Rena of Rena's Greenhouse. She also had a booth, which I will show you her plants later on. She ended up gifting me a variegated Alocasia Frydek for free when I went to PlantCon. So I really appreciate her. I will hope that she will continue to do shows in Texas, because I love her plants. She is a fellow Filipina as well. You know, I am a proud Filipino American. I say this in all my videos, just because when you think about all of these beautiful plants, these tropical aroids, it just reminds me of my home country, the Philippines, because a lot of these plants grow so well in a tropical climate, a tropical Southeast Asian country like the Philippines. But to go back to it, you can see that she has quite a bit of plants. We've got some air plants right here. You can see that Didi is helping out some people. If you like her plants, definitely follow Didi's plants on Instagram. She has a lot of social media. And then this is actually one of my favorite philodendrons. This is a Philodendron Mayoi. I actually ended up getting one at a big box store through Proven Winners at Home Depot. But you can see how the leaves have that nice fenestration to it. The thing I will say about Philodendron Mayoi is, number one, it is going to need something to climb up on, and number two, it needs a little bit more humidity. I've noticed that if I don't provide my Mayoi with quite a bit of humidity, or a little bit more supplemental humidity, the leaves take quite a bit to unfurl. Now we've got some Fluval stratum there. I've never used that as a growing medium, but I heard it was really good. And then they've got some Blackstone Pond, which is actually really uncommon. I will say plant foldies, we will see if all of my plants that have converted into pond are going to do well. I actually potted up some of the Aglaonema I bought from PlantCon PlantCon into Pon. So we'll see if that works, but definitely my Alocasias. I've seen so many YouTube videos talking about, you know, growing Alocasia specifically in semi-hydroponics, specifically in Pon. So we're gonna see if that works. Now I just need to know a little bit about just the plant nutrients that I need to put into the actual substrate. Here is a Monstera mint, and you know, Plantfoldy's Monstera mint, that is one of my my wish list Monsteras. I really love Monsteras. The Monsteras that I'm looking for specifically would be the Monstera mint. I am also looking to get a Monstera aurea with some really good aurea variegation. And then you can see right there, that is a Monstera Burle Marx Flame. That's awesome. And then also a variegated Hoya compacta. Beautiful variegated Hindu rope, and I did see quite a bit of Hoyas at PlantCon, and that's the thing, Plantfoldies. Whenever you go to a plant convention, you will be surprised at the amount of plants you will see. You will see common plants, rare, uncommon, all of it. Now over here is an Epipremnum aureum Manjula pothos in a 6-inch planter for $50. And the thing about Manjula pothos, I believe that everybody is a fan of Manjula pothos. I definitely am. The reason why I like the Manjula pothos is because it tends to have larger, rounder leaves, and the variegation is stunning. Now I am thinking about buying a 6-inch planter of Manjula pothos just because it's really challenging to find Manjula pothos in this size. They're just a very slow growing Epipremnum aureum, and the thing about it is I just love that variegation. It would be so cool to actually see Manjula pothos size up on a totem pole. Just a little bit about my personal plant collection. Since I've been to PlantCon, I've been really inspired to really work on my plant room. I've got quite a bit already set up. I'm getting my grow lights, my humidifiers. So we're gonna see my personal plant collection soon. So again, Plantfoldies, if you are interested in seeing a houseplant tour, please make sure you are leaving a comment for me, letting me know that you do want to see a plant house plant tour. Now you can see right over here, we've got some staghorn ferns, and this is another place called Tropical Exotic. Now this is another plant vendor that basically doesn't have a brick and mortar plant shop. This is actually one of those plant shops, I think, that just kind of pops up at these shops. A lot of these plants are pretty much sourced out from Thailand and Indonesia, just overseas in Southeast Asia. Really like that they have a lot of varieties of plants. Now, whenever you look at these imported plants, you will notice that they are all in sphagnum moss. The reason being is plants can't really enter the United States with soil because of the potential of pests. So these plants have actually undergone what they call a phytosanitary certificate, to where the home country has basically stated that these plants are pest free and have pretty much gone through all the regulations that the USDA will actually need for these plants to enter. But you can see here we've got another philodendron, Congo nuclear. That is a really nice plant. And then we have this one only for $10. Philodendron mame. This is a nice starter plant. I probably should have bought this philodendron. And after going to PlantCon, I have had such a huge interest in a lot of the philodendrons. I just feel like philodendrons in general are quite easy to grow. So, you know, for me, it's one of those things where you're really influenced by the types of plants you've seen. Case point, not a lot of people talk about Aglaonema because we don't see a lot of these types of Aglaonemas readily available in the United States. Now, I am based out in North Dallas, and we do have quite a bit of big box stores and even really nice looking local plant nurseries. But to see an Aglaonema hybrid red, like, I love the fact that this is a super red Aglaonema. I would totally buy it. I do think that this is for $50. It's a little bit pricey for me. And then this is another Aglaonema I regret not purchasing. I've had one of these before. This is an Aglaonema super white. And when you talk about an Aglaonema or a plant that is pretty much white, here it is. And the thing about it is this will hold on to its white even if you don't really provide it nearly as much light as it needs. You know, they always market Aglaonema as being low light tolerant. Do not believe that. I mean, they are low light tolerant, but Aglaonema, especially the ones that are super colorful like this, you need to provide it with a lot of bright indirect light. The other thing I would say about Aglaonema, especially these really beautiful hybrids, is they need to have pretty good chunky draining soil. You don't want to overwater an Aglaonema. They have really thick roots. They're almost like succulent in a way they behave. You want to water them when their soil is completely dry. I love this. So I ended up actually getting a variegated bird's nest anthurium from another favorite vendor of mine, Wild Roots, which is another family-owned nursery out in New Braunfels, Texas. But you can see right here, beautiful anthurium right here. And when I say that there are so many varieties of anthuriums, I just think it is amazing. And it's one of those things where you would just be surprised with the amount of plants that they have available at these big box, not big box stores, but yes, they have a lot of plants in big box stores, but at PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, I had so much fun. And to be able to go there for both days, again, I wanted to thank the PlantCon media, especially to Ava for being able to sponsor me for some early access tickets. I was able to film hours and hours of PlantCon videos before the crowds ended up buying a lot of the plants. So if you are actually just discovering my PlantCon videos, please definitely check out my playlist. I have a PlantCon playlist on my YouTube channel, and definitely check out all the other ones. I have about 4 PlantCon videos, actually 5 before this one. So you can see right here though, plant foldies. Look at these Aglaonemas. I keep going back to the Aglaonema Super White. That is another Aglaonema I definitely need to add in my collection, because look at how stunning and how white it is. And this is actually a easy to care for plant. So plant foldies, if you ever run into a Super White, I would highly recommend getting it. I would highly recommend everybody just getting into Aglaonemas. I just feel like people don't talk about Aglaonemas, so I will continue to try to plant-fluence you guys into getting into Aglaonemas. Now over here, we've got a ton of assorted imported Hoyas, different types of Hoyas, and you can see that they have a picture of the Hoya blooms. PlantCon definitely got me interested in Hoyas, and what I want to do with my Hoyas is actually grow some of them in pond. We'll see how that works out for me. And you can see all of these assorted different imports. This one is a variegated chia pens for $70, and then we have some another plant right over here for $70. Look at the leaf shape of it. Really love the variegation of this plant. And you know, with imported plants from either Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, or even in South America, most of the plants are going to be in sphagnum moss, and so there is an acclimation period that you have to make sure to take care of. What I would do is, if you buy a plant, say from this vendor, you would have to take the sphagnum moss, all of the sphagnum moss away from the soil. I mean, not the soil, the roots, and then you would take the roots and make sure to clean them out and make sure that there's not any sphagnum moss in there. I would recommend soaking them and just leaving them in water for a good 48 to 72 hours before you transfer them to a substrate. Sometimes there may not be enough root system for them to go into a substrate. I would just keep them in water, and I would change the water very frequently, maybe every other day, every day, to make sure that the roots grow a little bit more and stabilize. The good thing about buying plants that are imported, especially if you buy them during a plant convention, is you don't have to pay for the phytosanitary certificate. You also don't have to pay for shipping, which brings me to another point. If you know that there's a certain vendor that's going to be at PlantCon, for instance, or even the Texas Aeroid, I would go ahead and get in contact with them. I know that I've gotten in contact with Art Flower Garden and Green Spaces IDs, because I want to get a couple of some Aglaonemas brought to the show to where I could just purchase them and not really have to worry about the free the shipping, and also just the phytosanitary certificate. But you can see right here, plant foldies, lots of different types of plants. And the thing about it is, on the second day, all of these plants were buy 3 get 1 free, and so like I was almost tempted to buy 3. But the thing about it is, my plant budget from day 1 was skyrocket high, and so I really wanted to just spend a little bit of time soaking in all of PlantCon, and just really enjoying the moment, and just being really grateful that PlantCon was available in Dallas. It was actually in Allen, Texas, to be exact, and it was literally a 15 to 20 minute drive south of where I am based at. And I really hope that they choose the same venue, just because I felt like this venue was pretty large. It was really organized and there was enough space for a lot of the plant vendors. But you can see here, Plant Foldies, lots of assorted imported plants. You can see that my green wagon that I carried around doesn't have any plants. That was super full on day one. I keep going back to this Aglaonema. I'm going to go ahead and put it back because, you know, it is a beautiful plant, but I don't really want to spend $40 quite yet on an Aglaonema. I ended up buying quite a bit of Aglaonema from Toltec Plants, which is another favorite plant vendor of mine. If you haven't already, please make sure you are following Toltec Plants on Instagram. They are a wholesale plant importer, but I do believe they will also sell to individuals. You just need to message them on Instagram. And then you can see right over here, they had some different wood stations, like wood carvings and things like that for terrariums. It looks really nice. I just spent a little bit of time looking at that, and then we're gonna walk over here and just show you all of the woodwork that they have. You can see there's quite a bit of people, and I really tried my best not to get people's faces in my videos since it is PlantCon. I was trying to be respectful. And now we're gonna be going to the Koke Garden. So Koke Garden is also a local plant vendor out in Dallas. So I'm super excited to show you Koke Dama. So Koke Dama is the art of actually growing plants in a moss bowl, like a moss ball. Like you can see right over here, this is a beautiful bromeliad. I love the color of the bromeliad. And you can see we also have a Calathea macchiana in a Kokedama style display. So I really love the fact that they had something a little bit more unique as compared to a lot of the plant vendors. This was probably one of the more unique stations. I mean, you can see right here, Philodendron Ring of Fire, beautiful philodendron, but when you actually have it in a moss bowl, that is super cool. Now I want to actually make my own Kokedama with some of my plants. So there's a couple of philodendron I want to make that in. I want to feature that on my YouTube channel. There is a certain elegance about Kokedama. Now, Plant Foldies, let me know in the comments what you think about Kokedama. Again, if you've already made it this far into my video, please make sure you are hitting that like button. I mentioned that quite often in my videos just because what people may not realize is when you hit the like button, it really does help push these videos out to more plant lovers like yourself. With the Plant Foldie community growing at a really fast pace, like we are now at 10,400 subscribers. I want to thank you guys for all of the viewership as well as you guys engaging with me. So whenever you leave a comment or two or a dozen, or you hit the like button, it does really validate my efforts. It really does reward my efforts to create long format content. Now over here on Plant Foldies, we got a Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil in a Kokedama style display. Love the look of this particular Philodendron Hederaceum, and I don't know if you agree, but looking at all of these Kokedama, it just gives it a very elegant, stylish, modern look about it. Like, look at this right here. You would never think to put a Hoya carnosa, Crimson Queen, in a Kokedama style ball to display. And I love the fact that when you change the plate that it's actually sitting on, it kind of changes the mood or the look of the plant. So I like that a lot. For me, you would think that I would really just be into very minimalistic plants. My thing about it is, it's not that I really want a very minimalistic look in my house. I actually have quite a bit of stuff there. I'm trying to declutter, but it's more of, I like that modern contemporary vibe. You know, when you talk about my the title of my YouTube channel, Growfold, I really like the elements that Japanese culture has, whether it's Kokedama like this. I mean, this is something that is very much Japanese, and it's very much a unique take to fuse their culture, the Eastern culture, into something as tropical, you know, with tropical plants like the Alocasia Black Velvet. Stunning. And every single plant that I saw here were plants that you could find at a big box store or local plant nursery, like this Peperomia Ginny, beautiful Kokedama. I actually was tempted to buy this because I love Peperomia Guinea. The red borders, especially when you give it quite a bit of light, is beautiful. And the thing about it is, the way you would take care of Kokedama is, if you're going to water the plant, all you have to do is submerge the whole moss bowl into water, soak it up, and then let it dry. You know, let it obviously drain, and then stick it back on top of the plate, and that is it. Now this is going to be an easy to care for plant. This is another Dracaena. And you know, when you think about different types of plants, whenever you're growing them in a kokedama style ball, you'll want to look for plants, especially if you're not the most versed in plant care, that are going to be a little bit easier to take care of. For instance, a Syngonium. I love the Syngonium. And what's cool about Koke Gardens is you can actually get custom made orders created from her, and she will also up pot your kokedama if need be. So really love the fact that that is a possibility when it comes down to buying something here. I am really fortunate that she is actually local, you know, somebody that's local in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So for those that like kokedama, definitely follow Koke Garden on Instagram and definitely check out the beautiful art it is. It's definitely more of a curated look for plants. It's not something that you could just find on a daily basis. I actually have a Syngonium Godzilla that I'm thinking about making into a kokedama. I think since it's a slow growing plant, it would just hold itself in there. I might actually do that this weekend. We will see. But I was inspired to do some kokedama. You can see right there that large Monstera deliciosa. She's got some Haworthias, for instance, right over here. You've got a Ficus elastica burgundy or Tenikio on the right, and then a Ficus or a Dracaena lemon lime surprise over there. But you can see you can make kokedama. I've seen tutorials. I'm definitely going to do something of that nature. Or if you are somebody who doesn't want to just do it yourself, you can go to the Koke Garden and actually get a kokedama there. But there were quite a bit of people that were intrigued and interested in this type of work. Like right here is another anthurium, a blooming anthurium. That is actually a really good plant. Actually, most plants are suitable to kokedama. You can even actually have kokedama as like a hanging type plant. The one she had some hanging ones as well as ones that just sit on a plate. And you can see right there, we've got an Alocasia, we've got a Janet Craig compacta Dracaena, a Peperomia peperonoides, or money tree, Chinese money tree plant right there. And then we just have all sorts of other plants. Now, what I want to do though is, and look at this right here, actually, before I mention that, beautiful bromeliad, love the pink colors. I just feel like with kokedama, if you're going to use like the fake moss, but I'm even thinking about ordering moss spores to actually have legit moss growing around the fake moss to make it like a very green ball. We're going to see if I can make that work. But as I'm doing this voiceover, I am looking at my Syngonium Godzilla. I just feel like it would make a good candidate for a kokedama style you know, setup. So you can even see that kokedama can even be made by succulents, and that is so cool. Like, look at how beautiful that is. Again, Plant Foldies, highly recommend checking out kokedama. Highly recommend checking out Koke Garden in Dallas. Like right here is one of my favorite Chrysalas. This is that Chrysala tricolor. Beautiful plant, because you can see that there are some edging of like red and pink around it. And again, with, you know, succulents, you want to provide quite a bit of light. I just recently got a Euphorbia Ghost the other day. So, you know, I am starting to kind of get some more of my succulents and cacti collection. We'll see what that looks like for me long term. But Plant Foldies, what do you guys think of the kokedama display right here? Let me know in the comments again. And I'm just going to keep panning over a couple of more kokedama creations by Koke Garden. You can see that there is a lot of there are just many different types of easy care plants. I love the fact that they utilize a lot of easy care plants like Dracaena, Sansevieria snake plants. We've also got a Procera aquatica, and just several plants that you can find at like a big box store created in a kokedama style display. Again, these are more curated looks for a somebody who likes a really stylish looking display for plants like this beautiful bromeliad, for instance. This is one of my favorite types of bromeliads, the ones that have the pink coloration on it, but just to me making it in a kokedama style, that looks absolutely stunning. And then you can see right over here, they've just got a jade pothos right here, a bird's nest anthurium, and we've also got a spathiphyllum or peace lily, and just more kokedama plants. All of her plants are priced fairly well. You can see that they're either $30, $40, maybe a little bit more, but for the most part, just a curated plant like this, that is actually not a bad price at all. We also have hanging like kokedama type displays like this philodendron hederacean lemon lime. You already know plant foldies if you've been watching my videos for quite some time. I love neon colored plants. Now with all neon colored plants, you want to provide it quite a bit of bright indirect light for them to really maintain that neon or yellow variegation. Otherwise they tend to get a little bit more green. And you can see right over here is a Hedera helix, or what you call a Hedera helix. That is an English ivy, and for those that are new to the channel, I kind of mispronounced the way Hedera helix is said, so that's the reason why. There is a long story, but for now, that is an English ivy in a kokedama setup. Also a Rodeo oyster plant, which I love as well. Rodeo oyster plants, they're easy to grow, and depending on how much light you can give, you can get some really good variegation. Again, we have another peace lily right over here. I might actually ask her to get me a custom made kokedama. I'm thinking about getting my Syngonium Godzilla into a kokedama style. We'll see what that looks like. And you can see we've got calatheas as well. The only thing about calatheas is, again, that is such a finicky plant. They're beautiful, but they're very challenging to grow, at least for me long term. Now, for those that have been able to grow kokedama, not kokedama, but calathea long term, please leave it in the comments about your care tips, what you do to be successful. But for me, I don't know. Calatheas just haven't been a very good grower for my plant collection. We'll see what that looks like. But I may eventually add a calathea, we'll see. But as you can see right here, so many different types of plants for kokedama, and there was actually quite a bit of people going to the kokedama station. You know, this isn't something that you would often see at a big box store for sure, and even local plant nurseries. So I'm glad that I ran into this booth right here. You can see right here they've got an alocasia, for instance. There's just several ways to display kokedama. What I want to do if I did get a kokedama is actually buy some moss spores and actually grow real moss on top of the fake moss that's used for this. I think it would be a really nice element, especially if the ball is super green and lush. Let me know in the comments, so plant foldies, if you've actually grown kokedama style plants in your collection. How do they work for you? Now, again, as far as plant care tips, you just have to look at the particular plant that you have. But for the watering, you just literally need to take the whole moss bowl into a bowl of water, submerge it, let it soak the water in, and then let it just drain all of the water out. Sit it back on the plate, and then you are good to go. But for the most part, the maintenance for kokedama is super easy. Whenever you are ready to up pot it or get it into a larger size ball, all you have to do is cut the ball open and then just create a larger ball. There are several YouTube tutorials on how to make kokedama. I want to attempt to make one, but I also want to just get a curated one from her, since all of her pricing is really fair. I mean, $30, $40 for these are not bad pricing at all, and that includes the beautiful plates that are utilized for these plants. Now, Coco Garden actually does several shows around the DFW area, so hopefully I'll be able to see what's the next show for her. They've been in the business for about 10 years, and if you are watching this and you love kokedama, please follow them on Coco Garden. Koke Garden on Instagram. You can message them directly, see if you can connect with them. But as far as that, I did regret not purchasing a kokedama this time, but if I do see them again, I will definitely purchase one. I was thinking of getting maybe the Pilea plant, the Chinese money plant. I thought that was super cute, or the bromeliad. I think those plants have a really nice way of being displayed in a kokedama style. But if you have any insights on kokedama, again, plant foldies, please leave that in the comments. And then you can see right here, we are at Art Garden Flowers. All of these plants are imported from Indonesia. I ended up, buying a couple of plants from this booth on the first day. You can see they've got several anthuriums. Love anthuriums. And again, as far as anthuriums are concerned, they are not as challenging as what most people will say. I mean, some people will say they do need a lot of humidity if you grow them in semi-hydroponics. So I'm growing some in leca and pond. they've done fabulous for me. I ended up buying a philodendron orange marmalite for $35 because look at how large that philodendron is. Again, plant foldies, any plant that is imported from Indonesia or all of these international vendors, they're going to have their plants in sphagnum moss just because you can't bring plants from overseas in soil substrates. What I would do if you're going to buy any of these international vendors is you need to make sure that you take all of the sphagnum moss off of the roots, clean the roots completely, and then put them in a bowl of water with some Super Thrive solution. That B vitamin is going to help replenish the plants from the such a long travel. And then after, you know, 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, you can put the plant into a soil substrate. The only thing about it is, if there aren't enough roots that are viable, I would leave them in water for a little bit longer to get a little bit more roots in them. Now, as far as this, the plants, like this plant right here, this Homalomena Pink Diamond, I think this was like for $125. If this were around like the $50 range, I would have totally bought this Homalomena just because look at how beautiful that variegation is. I love pink plants. I love variegated pink plants. Just pink in general is absolutely stunning. And then right over here is another booth that I love. This is Rena's greenhouse. This is one of my friends. She's actually Filipina as well. She's based out in Florida, and she has some really nice looking plants. Like right over here, we've got an Epipremnum Pinnatum marble, and it looks like she ended up getting one of the rare Hoyas from Green Spaces ID. I think this one is for $100, and it's in a terracotta planter. I love terracotta planters. I like the look of it. It gives me like a classic plant look. And then over here, plant foldies, we've got some variegated ZZ plants. I ended up wanting to buy one this time around, but my funds went super low for day 2. So I ended up just admiring it for this video. Now, Monstera Mint, this one is for $250. Look at the variegation on the Monstera Mint. And this is another Monstera that is a wish list plant of mine. She's got a pretty good size Monstera Mint. I definitely want to add this to my collection. Same thing with like a Monstera Aurea. Here's a beautiful philodendron Warcxvzi. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Probably not, I probably butchered it, but this is the variegated form. It's such a beautiful plant for $245. Like, I would have wanted to get this plant. I recently acquired the Aurea version of it and is absolutely stunning. Same thing with this variegated Monstera Mint, beautiful variegation. She had several of my wish list plants, and I know that I'm going to see Rena again. She tends to show at different locations. She did tell me that she did bring nearly as many plants as she did for the Houston one, the Houston Plant Con that happened, I think, back in May. She had several varieties of plants, but I am so thankful that she was able to get me a free variegated Alocasia Frydek as a gift. I really appreciated that, and I was able to acquire a gorgeous straight Syngonium strawberry ice as well for a really good price. Now over here is another philodendron yellow Congo. Love that as well. You know, with all of these variegated philodendron Congos, they come in many different varieties, but the yellow form, I love that yellow variegation. Now again, with all of these plants, we want to make sure that we are providing it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. Over here is a variegated Alocasia scalprum for $245. $45. Love that as well. I recently got one, just the green form from Green Spaces ID, imported from Indonesia. Beautiful shape of it, and that scalprum is actually endemic to my home country, which is the Philippines. And then over here we've got a variegated philodendron gloriosum, gorgeous plant. This one is for $345. This is one of my biggest wish list plants because it has velvety texture, and then the variegation is just breathtaking right here. Like, look at that. And it's got a new leaf unfurling, super healthy. And I will say Rena's greenhouse does have a shop on Etsy. So if you want to purchase plants from her, she does ship. I would highly recommend her. She's always got some very healthy looking plants. The plants are priced at a very fair price. And I mean, like this right here, who would not want a variegated philodendron gloriosum? Again, plant foldies, if you like all of the variegated plants from Rena's greenhouse and you haven't hit the like button for this video, please hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps my channel a lot, and then it also just helps push this channel for more people to see these gorgeous plants. I'm hoping that the PlantCon videos will increase our pull and we'll get more plant foldies. But as you can see right over here, Steve's Leaves, you know, Steve's Leaves is one of the best plant nurseries in the entire United States. They had a huge booth, lots of people shopping at Steve's Leaves, and you can see right here they've got a massive philodendron Yoppii. And the other day, day one, they actually had a large philodendron around this size. I think it was a philodendron Pluto, but you can see they had several monsteras. They had monstera albos, monstera Thai constellations. They've had a bunch of Hoyas, begonias, you name it, Steve's Leaves had it. And I was happy that I bought quite a bit of plants from Steve's Leaves. My goal is to be able to promote Steve's Leaves. Not that they need the promotion because everybody knows Steve's Leaves, but I'm hoping that, you know, through these PlantCon videos, they can really see the diversity of plants that they offer. You know, a lot of people will say that Steve's Leaves is known for its begonias, but Steve's Leaves is known for everything. Now, I can understand why people would say that they are known for their begonias because they had a lot of hybrids that they've created from Steve's Leaves greenhouse. But you can see here, variegated begonia, Guinea, Galaxy, beautiful plant. That one is for $250. Now this is an angel wing type begonia. Really like the look of that. And then you can see that this particular philodendron has a new leaf unfurling. We have some more monstera albos, and then on day 2 they replenished with some monstera aureas. Now this one I believe was for $250. Look at how much yellow aurea variegation it had. That is one of my wish list plants. I really want to get an aurea at some point, but you know, that is a plant that is a little bit pricey. I'm hoping that I can get one eventually for a fair price. We'll see what that looks like. But you know, my plant budget was off the roof day one. I basically spent quite a bit of money, and you know, I kept on trying to justify myself on the amount of money I spent from PlantCon. So through y'all's viewership and even a potential super sticker or super thanks, that might help refund my plant budget that I spent at PlantCon. You know, I'm just working really hard trying to get more content for you guys, and so I just appreciate those that have actually spent time just watching my plant content and really admiring the plants alongside with me. Because Steve's Leaves, I mean, like this right here, this Syngonium, I was so glad that I was able to get from Ivy Plants. It's another local plant vendor out in North Dallas. This is in Ormthong. I love Ormthong just because it has that large Syngonium round leaf with that beautiful cream variegation, and Steve's Leaves has that. There were a couple of Syngoniums from PlantCon that I wish I would have gotten, as well as this Syndapsis pictus variegated. Right here, I like this one as well. I'm hoping that I would eventually get a variegated Syndapsis. The thing about Syndapsis though is they are a little bit slower growing when you compare them to like an Epipremnum aureum or a pothos plant. So I tend to look for those vining plants to be a little bit more vigorous. Call me crazy, but I like to see fast growing plants. They just bring me so much joy. And that's the reason why I feel like even me being interested in Aglaonema is kind of crazy, because Aglaonema tend to be a little bit slower growing. Now over here is an Epipremna pinnatum marble, I think. It doesn't have nearly as high variegation, but you know what? That is another plant that is endemic to the Philippines, and I love seeing that on an international stage. And then you can see here, I don't know what this particular philodendron is, but it is also another massive philodendron. But you know, that's another dream of mine, is to be able to tour Steve's Leaves nursery. I would love to be able to film them and show their plants on my YouTube channel. We'll see if that ever does happen. I'm hoping that it may happen for me at some point. And then this is some type of monstera. Really nice looking monstera right here. You can see it's a little bit different. And then over here are some more variegated begonias. And then this is a really cool Monstera deliciosa compacta. So it doesn't get really large. It stays a little bit more compact. And I thought that was really interesting. If you are a Monstera lover, you definitely want to go to like plant conventions, because you will be surprised about the amount of different types of Monsteras or plants that you will see in general. There were quite a bit to choose from. And, you know, with Steve's Leaves being a local local nursery. I'm hoping that I'll be able to acquire some of these plants. I mean, that is such a beautiful monstera, and you can see that it's already fenestrated. You can see the second fenestrations, the holes in them, and then you can see they do have several different types of Hoyas. Now, I ended up buying some trellises, some round trellises, because I want some of my Hoyas to kind of circle around a round trellis. We'll see what that looks like, but what I do like about Hoyas is that they are more durable plants. They are definitely drought tolerant. Like, you don't necessarily have to water them often, and actually if you do, that's actually going to kill them from overwatering. And let's talk about how this beautiful Syngonium variegated chia pens has such a beautiful variegated leaf. That is stunning, and this one is for $70. It's interesting, variegated Syngonium chia pens is still holding on to a quite inexpensive price. I don't know if it's just because it hasn't been like propagated, or if tissue culture hasn't really made it more readily available. Same thing with Monstera albos. I've noticed that while there's still quite a bit of Monstera albos, I would think with Monstera Thai Constellation becoming more tissue cultured, you would think that they would actually tissue culture Monstera aureas and Monstera albos to be a little bit more readily available. But you can see right here, there is a little bit of browning on a Monstera aurea. That tends to happen just because they don't hold on to their aurea variegation nearly as well. It eventually starts to crisp and brown up, so you'll end up having to take some scissors to cut off that brown part. But again, that is one of my wish list plants. I am curious, plant foldies, in the comment section, if you can, leave what your wish list plants are. I'm curious to see what are your wish list plants, if they're similar to mine. Why do you want that plant? Again, I love the engagement, so anytime you guys leave comments, you already know I'm going to definitely comment and respond to them. And for those that continue to leave positive comments in my comment section, I really appreciate it. I am open to feedback, as long as it's in a respectful manner. You know, I did see some negative feedback that came through, and I was a little bit shocked that it happened. But you know what? The internet is a vast, you know, a vast place, and pretty much anybody can say whatever. But I just would hope that people will always, you know, step back, think before you click, and really see how you communicate on social media platforms. I'm always an advocate about just being positive, being kind, being selfless, and just being aware of how you communicate. It was a little bit disappointing to get some of that negative feedback, but as always, my Plant Foldy community is always out there to defend me, as well as just really justify some of the moves I made with my YouTube channel. But anyways, to get off of the rant, you can see right here, we've got quite a bit of Steve's Leaves plants. Now, these are plants that are priced at around $5. I ended up getting the aluminum steel plant. I just thought it was such a cool looking plant. And while it is more of a uncommon plant that's not really expensive, it's a plant that I definitely added into my collection, as well as that red irisine rosy plant. Really liked it a lot, but I didn't realize that it is such a thirsty plant. Like, I literally have to water it every other day. Otherwise, it will like droop and it looks like it's about to die. So that's another plant that I wasn't really I was actually surprised that it needed a lot more water. Again, though, it is a beautiful plant. It reminds me of one of my Plant Foldies, Rose. That is a plant you definitely need to add into your collection since you like red plants. But as you can see right here, I'm going to keep walking around. So this is the Market Botany area. They've got some plant propagations right over here. They've got some prop drops to help with your plant propagations. Over here, you can see we've got some Syngonium confettis. Now, this one actually has more of like mature Syngonium confetti form. The thing about Syngonium confetti is as it matures, the pink actually becomes less prominent. And then right next to it, we've got some Philodendron Painted Ladies, and then we've got a Dieffenbachia Camouflage. Beautiful plant. I love how it's got light leaves. And, you know, with Dieffenbachia, I am debating on whether I should add a Dieffenbachia into my collection, but they have such stunning leaves. And when I went to the Philippines about 2 months ago for vacation, Dieffenbachia were just growing so wildly. They were just growing so easily in the Philippines. Same thing with Aglaonemas. Just the amount of Aglaonema I saw over in the Philippines for such cheap pricing, it was crazy. Now, this one right here is an Aglaonema. I think it's called Ghost, for only $14. That's not a bad price. I actually can find that at a big box store like Walmart or even Lowe's as a Costa Farms self-watering planter. So let's see what else that they have over here. You know, these are some of the plant vendors I didn't get to see on PlantCon day one. And you can see this is Isaac. His YouTube channel is Hi JR Sings. He was walking around with me, and thanks to Isaac for sporting that Grow Folds t-shirt. Again, if you are interested in getting a Grow Folds t-shirt, they are $25 with the free shipping. So just hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram name is @GrowFolds. But again, all of these plants, these little starter plants, these are all props. I believe that one is a Philodendron Florida green, and we have some more Philodendron right over here. These are really cool. And that's the thing about PlantCon as well, is you can find a lot of starter plants. Now we're gonna go over here. This is the El Huizache nursery. Now they are based out in Brownsville, Texas, so they travel quite far, and they had several desert rose. So I loved desert rose, and I recently found me a desert rose that was sport variegated at a big box store called Home Depot. But you can see right here, desert rose, beautiful plant. It is a plant that you can make into bonsai. There are different types of blooms, and I'm hoping that on the next PlantCon I will purchase some desert rose. It's always hard to find them in different bloom colors. Like look at that one, that's a variegated you know, bloom right there. Beautiful plant, and they have different types of desert rose. Now this is more of a succulent type plant. You definitely want to give it full sun or quite a bit of light for it to really thrive. It tends to be more on the dry side in terms of watering. You don't want to overwater it, otherwise you'll end up killing it. You can propagate these. In order for them to really develop a thick caudex or a trunk, you want to cut it back so that way it focuses more energy on the root, like the trunk section. But you can see here they do have quite a bit of desert rose. I believe these were all for like $30, but you know, to be able to find yellow blue ones, variegated ones, variegated bloom ones, that is not a bad price at all. And you can see right here, I don't know what the bloom color is, but they did have several desert rose. There was actually quite a bit of people buying from their booth, and I really like that. And that's the thing about PlantCon, is not only do you find like rare aroids, other plants that are also available would be succulents and cactus, as well as like these desert rose. Now one desert rose that I wish I would have purchased, and I'll show you soon, is the variegated desert rose that they had. They had it for like $40, but you can see this one right here is more of the compact form of a desert rose, so it's a little bit more miniature and compact. These would be perfect bonsai type plants. And then you can see they've also got air plants, they've got different succulents and cactus, and then you can see right over here is that variegated desert rose. What a stunner. I believe it was like for $40. I probably should have bought it, but you know, hindsight is 2020. There will always be a time where I can find that again, but that is a beautiful plant. I love the variegation on the leaves. And again, with desert rose, I believe she said that the bloom was actually a beautiful red color, and then they had another variegated desert rose. So there's not quite a lot of variegated desert rose. It is a little bit slower growing, as to what she told me, as far as the green form, but that's with any plant. You know, any plant that has more variegation, there's less green for them to really photosynthesize and create chlorophyll for the plant to feed on. But again, look at how gorgeous that variegation is on the desert rose. So it was always nice to you know, discover different types of plants. That's the thing about plant cons or plant conventions. Not only do you find all of the rare aroids and tropical plants, you'll find some unique plants like desert rose, succulents and cacti, euphorbia, as well as like kokedama, as well as bonsai. So I didn't really see a bonsai station at this PlantCon, which was slightly disappointing. So I'm hoping at the Texas Aroid show I may be able to see that. But you can see over here they had a bunch of assorted Hoyas. Now these are all propagated from her personal collection, and I really like that a lot. So all of these Hoyas were actually propagated in-house. They weren't sourced out from another greenhouse, but her personal collection. So I really like that a lot. There were some interesting Hoya that I should have bought as well. There's a lot of like plants I should have bought. I should probably do a separate video of the plants I regret not purchasing, but you can see right here there's a variegated Hoya carrii, beautiful plant. I ended up finding this though at a big box store, grocery store called Kroger, for only $7. Now this is what I wanted to buy for $35. This is a variegated Hoya carrii splash. Now that one is a little bit more uncommon to find. I'm hoping that I can find it, and I finally got a this Hoya right over here, as well as the variegated Hoya reverse variegation. I just recently acquired that. So super happy. I'm starting to increase my Hoya collection. But you can see this splash one right here, this Hoya Carry Splash is only for $35. And I wish I would have purchased this because I love the splashy tones of Hoyas. I'm curious to see what the Hoya Bloom is. And then you can see right over here is a variegated reverse Hoya Carry. This one was $45 and it is a little bit more uncommon to find. It is more pricey as compared to the other two Hoya Carry. Love the leaf shape. That heart-shaped leaf is so pretty. And then you can see over here more assorted Hoyas available. You can see they've got some assorted succulents right over here. The pricing is not bad. They actually had a special going on for these assorted succulents. You can do succulent arrangements. You know, again, I am not that versed with succulents or cacti. They tend to not do well for me. I don't know if it's just the watering that I do. You would think that since I'm an underwaterer that I wouldn't kill succulents, but maybe it's the lighting. They just don't do well for me. And then when I thought about taking them outside and growing them into full sun, that wasn't a really good idea as well for the actual succulent. So speaking of succulents, this is the next booth I went to. This is a South Texas succulent. You can see that this one has an interesting name. I'm not going to say it out loud, but this one is for $200. What an interesting name. It's kind of funny, kind of not, but I don't know. You interpret it for what it is. And then you can see that they have some really cool variegated cactus. What an interesting booth as well. And, you know, for those that love cactus and succulents, especially my plant foldie from Canada, Kathy, I know you love succulents and cactus. I thought of you when I filmed this, and I really did try to get some more succulents and cactus in the PlantCon videos that I filmed. I just feel like there is a niche, there is a love for cactus and succulents. You know, oftentimes whenever we look at, you know, plants on YouTube or social media, most people tend to go toward the aroids or tropical plants, but there is a whole new world when it comes to like succulents and cactus. There's a bunch of love for, say, bonsai as well, kokedama, outdoor gardening, vegetable gardening, you know, and those are all of the things that I want to touch on in terms of my YouTube channel. So hopefully I will be able to showcase that. But you can see here, that is actually a desert rose caudex that has several growth points. Really cool looking one. I'm curious to see what the flowers are going to be on that. And then you can just see that they have several different types of variegated succulents and cactus. They are based out further down south in Texas. This is another local grower though, and you can see that they have them in very much porous soil substrates. Definitely not anything that would hold a lot of moisture, because cactus and succulents need fast draining soil. The soil I actually use, if I'm going to go actually put them in a soil substrate, would be a bonsai soil mix that I buy from Amazon from the Bonsai Supply. Really good brand of soil for these particular succulents and cactus. But I do love that they have ones that are a little bit more cost effective in pricing. The variegated cactus obviously are going to spend, you're going to spend a little bit more, but look at all of the different varieties of cactus and succulents. Again, I am not that great with the cactus and succulents, so if you have any tips on what cactus or succulents do well for beginners, leave that in the comment. And if you made it this far, I mean, seriously, if you made it this far, please make sure you are hitting the like button for my PlantCon video. Again, I want to try to get these videos pushed out to as many plant lovers, because I feel like if more people see what a plant convention looks like, there's going to be more excitement, more people attending these plant conventions. Now over here is Living and Growing. This is another plant vendor that's based out in Houston. You can see they have a Monstera aurea, and this is another Filipino plant vendor. I love meeting a bunch of Filipino plant vendors. There were quite a bit of them actually at PlantCon in Dallas and definitely in Houston, so I was glad to have met some of them. So you can see that they have some rare and uncommon plants. You can see that this is some type of variegated philodendron. I'm not sure what the plant ID is for them, but you can see that Living and Growing is actually on Facebook as well as Instagram. So please make sure you are following their social media and supporting them. But you can see that they have quite a bit of common and uncommon plants. They've got some Epipremnum pinnatum marble. Really love the look of that variegation, as well as other variegated plants right over here. I'm not sure what the plant ID is for this one, so Plantfoldies, again, if you know, leave it in the comments. This one is for $35 and it is variegated. You know, it's just really interesting that any speckle of variegation increases the plant price. Now, this is a variegated Scindapsus mayari. I really wanted this. This one was for $45, but look at how gorgeous that variegation is. Again, you know, these Scindapsus are just a little bit too slow growing for me to really just go after them and buy them. And then also you need to grow them on like a trellis, a moss pole, something that is going to have them attached for them to really be happy. Because if you grow them down as like a hanging basket plant, their leaves get smaller and smaller. Now this is an interesting Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema seafoam. This is another Aglaonema for $70. This is actually a pretty uncommon rare Aglaonema. I love that it's got that like minty green variegation. The leaves look like seafoam indeed, and I love that it's got more rounded leaves. I was actually tempted to purchase it. Now, if it was in the $45 range, I definitely would have purchased it, but for $70, I had to hold off on that particular one. I'm hoping to acquire an Aglaonema seafoam. It was my first time seeing it, and you know, with these silver foliage, minty color plants, I am all about that. And you know, it was a healthy looking specimen. I'm gonna check Etsy to see if they have it, or if you are somebody that sells an Aglaonema seafoam, a smaller one, I would definitely be interested in purchasing that. So leave that in the comments, or if somebody knows where I can acquire one, leave that in the comments as well. Again, Aglaonema come in so many different varieties of shapes, colors, sizes, and definitely pricing. In my PlantCon video for day 1 part 2, I showcased the most expensive, or actually the part 3, the most expensive Aglaonema in the world currently, and that is an Aglaonema Crown of Siam. It happened to make it to PlantCon in Dallas, so that was interesting. And you can see right here they've got a speckled golden dragon right over there. Love that as well. And they had some whale fins, but that Aglaonema seafoam, I think of all the plants that I saw from this booth, this was the one I was most interested in, because it's a plant you just really don't see. And that's the thing, you'll see a lot of the variegated you know, Scindapsus, for instance, is a variegated Scindapsus mayari, variegated Adansonia, variegated Monstera, but it's always nice to see plants that you may have heard of or may not have heard of. That's just what makes them unique. And that Aglaonema seafoam was one that I definitely wanted to purchase. We'll see what that looks like. I think I just have to work harder. I need to be able to push out more content for you guys, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my PlantCon videos so far. I just really felt like you know, it would be something that can give people an idea of what a PlantCon or a plant convention would look like. And I could tell that they were you know, a Filipino plant vendor, because you can see right there they had the rays of the sun. That's actually part of the Philippine flag, right on top of this Philodendron Yopii. I also want to get a Philodendron Yopii. Actually, any philodendron in general, I want to actually add to my collection, because they are just such easy plants in terms of like a tropical plant. There are some that are a little bit more more fussy. I would say the ones that are more velvety leaf shape tend to be more fussy, but in general, you can definitely grow philodendron. I would feel like philodendron are good starter plants. And you can see right here, they had crates of different plants. They had even outdoor plants. They had plants that were priced at $10, $15, $20. So they just had so many varieties. And you can see they even had their uncommon and rare plants as well. So they had a mixture of different types of plants. I did notice that they sold through a lot of their plants as well, which is always exciting because you want to see a plant vendor sell through plants. Now, this is one of my top three, our top four favorite plant vendors out of PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, and that is the D&M Secret Garden, which featured Japanese pothos or Epipremnum aureum Teruno series. You can see that there's quite a bit of them, and talking to May, she was the one that was actually selling these pothos. She's actually the one of the few people in the United States that has the licensing rights to sell Teruno pothos. So Teruno pothos plants are Japanese pothos that were actually produced out in Japan, and all of these plants were actually found through mutations. So what it was explained to me is that Japanese pothos are actually found from a specific type of leaf that just mutated, and they propagated it over and over to keep that characteristic. And so you have so many different nuances in the variegation. Now, when it comes down to it, Japanese culture in general has very particular, minute details in whatever they do, whether it's origami with the specific folds, whether it's bonsai with the specific shapes of the plants, or Japanese pothos, whether it's just a variegation. Like this one right here is for $38. You can see that the leaf has a different texture, and just looking at them very closely, like this is a Teruno Carnival. I wanted to get this because look at that variegation. You can see there's some neon speckling going on. And then you can see right here, this is a Wakakusa Epipremnum aureum Teruno pothos. And you can see that it looks like a variegated version of a neon pothos, but you can see that the carnival is, I think May was trying to explain that these were actually mutations from each other. So I really like that. There is a whole family of Teruno pothos. There is a diagram that I wish I could find so you can see where all of the mutations came from, where all of the lineage of the pothos plant came from. Now, people will say that these pothos plants were a little bit pricey. Yes, they were either $40 up to $150, maybe even $200, but you have to understand that these plants are not readily available. So when a plant is not readily available and there is a demand for it, the plant pricing is going to be there. And honestly, the amount of effort it took to produce these plants through very meticulous attention to like the different types of variegation, I totally understand why. Like this one right here, Epipremna aureum Himiko, really like the look of Himiko because it's got that Aurea neon color, but it also reminds you of like almost like a Marble Queen pothos. And then you can see over here, Plant Foldies, they have so many different varieties. Like I keep seeing this one, and then there's this one right here, that Carnival Teruno pothos. It's awesome. I regret not being able to purchase one, but like the Wakakusa, for instance, I should have bought this. Like it's such a beautiful pothos plant. So if you are into pothos, you definitely want to look into Japanese pothos. I would definitely you know, follow D&M Secret Garden on Instagram. They also have a Facebook group, like you can see right here. This is an Epipremnum aureum Teruno fanfare. Love that variegation. Some people will say that looks like a neon, not a neon, a Marble Queen pothos, but if you look at the leaf shape, it's way more narrow than a Marble Queen pothos. Love that as well. And you know, pothos plants in general, you know, I mentioned this before, rare pothos, it's a little bit hard for me to spend 3 digits for a pothos because I know that a pothos would easily propagate through water propagation. So like she did inspire me to look at some of my pothos plants, try to find maybe an interesting variegated leaf, see if that same mutation will repeat itself, because that's basically how these Japanese pothos were created. Like for instance, this one right here, Epipremnum aureum Teruna Shalala, this almost reminds me of like a Yesenia pothos. Look at that ghost variegation on it. with the yellow, very minute details. And again, Plantfoldies, that's the cool thing about going to PlantCon. That was the cool thing about going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, to be able to see Japanese pothos. And I have always been the type of person that has always been into pothos. I believe that most people probably started their their houseplant journey by getting a golden pothos. I recommend pothos plant, even the Japanese pothos that are a little bit pricey. If you want one, I would say they are still easy to care for plants. Give them bright indirect light, water when their soil is about 60% dry, and you should be good to go. But if you are going to buy Japanese pothos like the Teruno series, definitely provide them with quite a bit of bright indirect light. I feel like if you don't provide them enough light, they may revert back to green. So there's always going to be a risk for that. Now, I don't know 100% if their variegation is going to be as stable. I know, for instance, like the Marble Queen pothos, if you don't give it enough light, it tends to be more greenish versus like that creamy white. But right over there, you can see that that one is a beautiful one. And May was actually explaining to me, and I'm so thankful she gave me all the time to talk about how these pothos plants were created. Again, Plantfoldies, if you like pothos, if you haven't made it to hit the like button on this video, please do. But you can see she is showing me all of the different mutations on the leaves. And that was what was super cool about talking to May, is the fact that she actually traveled to Japan. She was able to get into the Teruno nursery and actually, I think, worked there for a little bit and really learn about pothos. Like, this one is my favorite one, and I should have bought this. I think it was for $150. So this is a Epipremnum aureum Japanese Global. So it's basically, I think, a mutation from the Global Green, but look at how beautiful that is. It almost reminds you of like Manjula vibes, but it has a very much yellow tone about it as well, with the white on it. So really beautiful plant. And another pothos that I would have totally bought would have been like the Epipremnum aureum Sunshine and Love Song. Those were gorgeous plants, and you can see right here, this is the Sunshine. So it reminds me of the Shangri-La. It looks like spinach leaves. Very, very slow growing plant. That is one of the Teruno pothos, the Shangri-La, but that one's the Aurea form. And you can see that Japanese Global pothos, beautiful plant. And I've started to see a little bit more of Japanese pothos heading into the market in the United States. But obviously, if you are looking for Japanese pothos, this was the plant booth that you needed to go to, because this actually had the full line of released Teruno Japanese pothos. Like, if I had $1,000, I would have probably been able to buy every single one, and then we would have called it a day, and I would have had all the Japanese pothos. But again, alas, I don't have that type of money to spend on plants just in one sitting. Now, whether I spent $1,000 on plants in the last 3 months, that's something that I may not necessarily say out publicly, but you can kind of read between the voiceover. But anyways, Plantfoldies, as you can see right here, tons of different types of Japanese pothos. She has these ones. These are her mother plants. So this one is really cool. The Enjoy Gold pothos was really cool, because look at that, that variegation. It looks like a highly variegated golden pothos, but when you start to look at the nuances of the leaves, it is definitely a different cultivar. And then you can see all of the other ones here. I think all of these are her most prized possession pothos, like this Epipremnum aureum Love Song on the pole. What a gorgeous plant. Now, when I asked her where she grows these plants, she says she does grow these pothos outside, which I always think that if you're going to grow plants, if you're able to grow them outdoors in like bright indirect light, they tend to just do better versus growing them indoors. Even if you're going to grow them with like grow lights, humidifiers, something about being outside tends to help the plant grow. Like this one right here, for instance, is another pothos that I wanted to buy, Epipremnum aureum Amazon, because look at that variegation. It's definitely different than what you would see as in North America or most American pothos, or just pothos that you see worldwide. Japanese pothos have a different characteristic, and I was just really happy and thankful that I've been able to like film it, and definitely to be able to talk to May. I am always open to like filming her pothos. She is also based out in Texas, so that is super exciting. I hope that there is more awareness for Japanese pothos. If you're watching my PlantCon video, please do your research, Google search it, it, check it out. Join her Facebook group, the DNM Secret Garden. Pothos, there's a Pothos World, I believe, Facebook group, so you can see all of the gorgeous pothos, because this is actually one of my classic plants that I definitely want to add to my collection. It'd be really nice to at least start with the Japanese global pothos. If I were going to ask for, you know, a Christmas gift or something, I would want the Epipremnum aureum excellent. This one is for $160. So this is the Asaoka Excellent, and you can see that it looks like a pearls and jade, but if you notice, the leaves are smaller and they're more narrow. And that's the thing about these Japanese pothos, just the very small nuances and details in the leaf shape and variegation. Like right here, Epipremnum aureum Lime Compacta. So this one tends to be a little bit smaller in growth, and it's also a little bit more compact in its growth, which makes it more interesting. And then obviously the Sunshine Pothos. Gotta love that as well. And then also the Love Song. Love Song Pothos is probably one of my second favorite Japanese pothos. Really like the look of it as well. Epipremnum aureum Crystal Green. What a beautiful pothos. Look at that. It's got like yellow speckling on its leaves, and it has that new growth where it's almost white, a yellow and white. Beautiful plant. It's another plant that I definitely would add to my collection because I love neon colored plants, yellow plants. You already know plant foldies. That is up my alley, and that is definitely a pothos plant that I'm hoping to someday acquire. I'm going to see if May is going to have some more of these plants readily available. I may just need to save a little bit more money, or perhaps if the plant pricing goes down on these pothos, I may be able to purchase it. But you know, there's just a lot of plants that we all want. You know, there is a need for plants. There is a want for plants. There is a necessity for plants. So you really just have to assess which of the three and then see if that is actually going to justify whether you purchase the plant or not. The Japanese pothos though, if they were just a little less pricey, like even if they were in like the $40–50 range, I would invest in it. I just couldn't afford to spend over $100 on some of these pothos plants, even though they were so beautiful. I totally understand the plant pricing, and I still recommend everybody to look into them and even purchase them, because I mean, look at that variegation right there. Beautiful plant. And Japanese pothos, and when you think about it, if you're going to ever try to import them, they're from the Teruno nursery. It would just be challenging to purchase them and then just be able to import them. So it's really cool that May has done the plant community in the United States justice by having that. I also thought about buying the Epipremnum alpissimum True Silver. So it almost looks like a narrow, smaller form of the silver, you know, the silver, what is it? The silver sword philodendron, but that one is just an Epipremnum alpissimum. So she tends to go toward the more pothos plants, Epipremnum pinnatums, and maybe some of the philodendron heteroeciums, but this one was a beautiful one, and that's another pothos that I wish I would have purchased as well. PlantCon in Houston, I'm hoping that she'll show her her Japanese pothos. Maybe within a couple of weeks, I may scrounge up some money to be able to purchase some plants. I'm actually gonna film the Texas Aeroid show in the hopes that she would be there as well. And then I'm actually gonna have a list. I'm actually gonna have a budget, price, a range of what plants I want to purchase, and we'll see what that looks like. But as far as all of these beautiful pothos plants, again, we definitely need to take a look at that. Like this is another Japanese pothos right here. This one was not for sale. Now I don't know the plant ID, but if you look at how gorgeous that variegation is, that is definitely different from a typical golden pothos. That is not a golden pothos, because if you look at the variegation on that leaf, super cool. And I'm just curious, because I don't live in Japan, obviously. I've never been to Japan. That is one of my like dream destinations. Do all of these pothos plants, are these like readily available at Japanese plant stores? Somebody who has insights, leave it in the comments. And then now we're going to live with plants. Now this was another importer, a Thailand vendor. Look at how gorgeous these plants are. There were quite a bit of these plants. And again, when it comes down to these international plant vendors, they tend to have the more exclusive variegated plants, the plants that you may not see in the typical market. I mean, you can see right here, variegated Aglaonema. I'm glad I actually ended up getting one of these from the Indonesian plant vendor, but this one was also a beautiful one for $50. I hope to be able to visit Thailand someday because I want to also see all of these cool looking plants. But this plant vendor had some amazing plants, and if you look at the plant pricing for a lot of the plants he had available, they were fair. They were really nice looking large plants with really good variegation. Like here is a Homolamena pink diamond, and I know somebody was saying that I didn't mention all of the plant pricing. Honestly, in some of my plant con videos from day one, some of the plants were just not priced, so I wouldn't been able to do that. And then number two, I already flashed the plant ID name and also the plant price. I just felt like I didn't have to repeat myself. But for instance, in this case, I don't know how much that costs. I think the whole box says $100, and really I would have probably bought that had I not spent all of my budget on day one. That's what happens with day two. You pretty much have no money, but I just wanted to come back on day one since it didn't take that long for me to get down to watch, you know, to see the plant con and then see if there were certain things that I did not end up getting. I did end up getting two plants. One of them was the Syngonium Strawberry Eyes. Super excited about that. That was from Rena's greenhouse. And then I ended up getting a plant from this vendor, which I will talk about at the end of the video. Over here is a Philodendron Variegated Carmel Marble. That's another wish list plant of mine. It's still quite expensive. I love the serrated leaves. I definitely want to collect all of those. And then this is a variegated, I think, Philodendron Micans, but look at that tricolor. That's so stunning. And then we have a Philodendron Variegated Billetier, as well as a variegated Monstera Laniata for $50. So this one has more of that Aurea variegation. I've seen a lot of the minty yellow variegation, but that one I did not see a lot of. I love that green on green, almost Aurea variegation that they had. And then this is another variegated Monstera Laniata for $50. So when I see Live with Plants again, I've been kind of corresponding with him. He was such a nice guy. I'm hoping to purchase plants from him as well. I always have confidence in buying plants that are imported from Thailand because, again, they just have some really good variegated plants. I feel like when you think about variegation, you need to have plants that have good initial genetics, and I would say the ones from Thailand and Indonesia tend to have that. Philodendron Variegated Orlando. This is another plant that was amazing that I wish I would have purchased. That has got some beautiful variegation on it as well. I mean, take a look of that. And, you know, to find a Philodendron Orlando is already rare, but to see a variegated form is even more rare. So this is definitely the booth that for those that really like those variegated aeroids, variegated Philodendron, you needed to go to. Like this one right here is a variegated ZZ plant. He also had a bunch of like hybrid Anthurium seeds to be sold. You can see that there are some tissue culture plants there, which I will talk to about later. But here is some Raven ZZ Pink Variegated. This one is for $150, and it is still quite rare to find. I do like that it's a dark foliage plant. I wish I would have been able to afford it, but alas, again, you know, when it comes down to it, again, Plantfoldies, that is going to be challenging. But you can see right there, that is a Monstera Green Snow, which is basically a mutation of the Monstera Thai constellation. There were some tissue cultures of that, and I did want to talk about that later in the video because I ended up doing something that I wasn't sure if I needed to do at PlantCon, which is basically purchasing a tissue cultured plant, but I got it for a good price. Anyways, going back to this booth, you can see right over here, there are lots of different types of philodendron. This one is a Philodendron Pink Princess Galaxy. Beautiful plant as well. You can see that there's quite a bit of variegation. So, you know, with Philodendron Pink Princess, there's so many strands of it now. Some of them have better variegation than others. And again, the same thing with Philodendron Orange Princess. Like this one is phenomenal. Look at that variegation. Look at the leaf size. Now, I'm not sure how much that plant pricing costs for it, but Philodendron Orange Princess would be another philodendron I would love to add into my collection just because The orange coloration is really nice. I ended up finding like an Aglaonema, you know, what is it, like that was like orange. So we'll see what that looks like long term for me. But anyways, this one is another plant vendor that had some plants that were imported. I believe these ones were actually based out in South America. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but you can see that they have quite a bit of different types of plants. They actually had some of these plants on sale. And I noticed that at PlantCon 2024, second day, there were a lot of people like kind of liquidating their plants. Maybe it's because some of the plant vendors didn't want to take it back, or maybe they just wanted to get rid of their plants. Either way, for those that were looking for plants to be a little bit less expensive, day 2 would have been a good time to purchase plants. On the negative side though, if you wait to purchase your plants during day 2, you probably would have not gotten the best plants, because I'm telling you, the first 30 minutes after general admission happened at 10 o'clock, day 1, everybody was just running around buying all the plants, and to the point where a lot of the really cool plants were already sold through. But you can see right here, they do have a plethora of different types of plants. Like this is an interesting calathea. I just wish, you know, Plantfoldies, I'd be able to grow calathea successfully. I may introduce a calathea into my plant collection once I get my plant room set up. We just have to see what that looks like. I know that on Tuesday, which would be tomorrow, I am off. So maybe once I get that whole plant room together with my humidifiers, my grow lights, all of that, we'll see what that looks like, because right now I am inundated with quite a bit of plants. Now here is Rena's greenhouse again. I am looking at her Stephaniana suberosa plants. She's got the non-variegated forms and the variegated forms. So we'll see what that looks like in terms of whether I end up getting one of these plants. The variegated form looks so beautiful. I just don't know a lot about this plant. So Plantfoldies, again, if you have any idea about the plant care or the plant care tips, please let me know. And then she also has some mature Epipremnum Epipremnum pinnatum yellow flame. Beautiful plant. But this one right here, look at that variegation. It is so stunning. Even the green form is great. Like just Rena's greenhouse, she has some amazing plants, and I had to go do a double take just because she had some really good healthy plants. They were packed well, they were priced well. There was still quite a bit of variety. Day 2, most of her plants already sold through. She had so many Alocasia variegated Fridex. I would probably say she had the best Syngonium strawberry ice out of any plant vendor at PlantCon, and that's really saying a lot, considering everybody had some really good looking plants. But for Rena, she definitely had it. You know, mabuhay to all of the Filipino plant vendors there. Definitely want to support and shout you guys out. Again, you know, you always want to support your what you call your kababayans, and it's always fun to meet other Filipinos out there, just because in the Philippines, plants is very much intertwined with our culture, and just to see, you know, plant vendors showcasing all of these gorgeous plants. Like, look at this Monstera Burley Marks Flame. I am just in awe. I just need it all. And, you know, PlantCon, it was just such a good weekend. Now, was it a very tiring weekend for me? Yes, because I literally spent 8 hours on the first day filming and a good 5 to 6 hours on the second day, just really trying to soak in, you know, an event that we've all been waiting for. And I cannot wait to go to PlantCon in Houston next year in May. I'm already planning for it. I'm already trying to get my little Airbnb together there. Hopefully I can get me some early access tickets, because I will be filming even more content for our GrowFolds community, our Plantfoldies. And again, Plantfoldies, if you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking through and watching my PlantCon 2024 Dallas videos. I have a playlist. I may end up just doing one big compilation of long playing for the PlantCon. And then just if you haven't made it to my PlantCon Houston video, definitely check that out. I've noticed that PlantCon has really made some great improvement, and you know, this is just kind of like my final pan around. You can see they still had quite a bit of people. I wanted to stay till the very end, but at that point I was super tired. I ended up not getting a lot to eat just because I've been walking around and really just trying to film this plant. You know, it did take a lot of effort, but it was just really nice to be able to hang out in a place where there were so many plants. So you can see right here, they had some PlantCon stickers for free. And again, thank you to the PlantCon staff for really putting this together, for everybody that was involved, for all the plant vendors that invested their time. You guys are awesome. And for all the locals and folks that were not from Dallas that came out for PlantCon, y'all just made it so much fun. You know, I'm looking at another plant vendor. I forgot which plant vendor this was, but it was another plant vendor that had a bunch of import plants available. So you can see that a lot of those international vendors tended to have a lot of the variegated plants, as well as this anthurium. Look at how gorgeous this anthurium is. I would have taken that anthurium home. Just know that now that I've discovered the awesomeness of pond and semi-hydroponics, I will start to put a lot of my more quote finicky plants in that to see if that's going to make my plant care a little bit easier. But you can see right there, like, I wish I could just take this whole box of anthuriums. That would just be awesome if I could afford all of that. But alas, you know, we all have to work a little bit hard. I know that if you talk to anybody who went to PlantCon, their budget was shot, their budget was gone, but it was all worth it. I feel like it was all worth it. Maybe it's just me having to talk myself through and then take a look at my credit card bill at the end of the month. But at the end of the day, you don't see these plants often. You don't get these opportunities to pick these uncommon and rare plants in person versus having to buy them, you know, having to buy them online. It's always nice. Like this one right here, I should have bought that plant. You know, there's a lot of plants I should have bought, but it's always about the fun. So Plantfoldies, again, let me know in the comments what you thought of all of the PlantCon plants you saw. Which were some of your favorite vendors? What plants do you eventually want to purchase? Leave that all in the comments. I am curious and I really do want to know because pretty much every single vendor I ran into, there was a plant that I wanted to purchase. But there is one more vendor I did want to go back and take a look at, and that is the Zaddy Plant Therapy. Now, this is a plant vendor from California, based out in California. You can see that this vendor has quite a bit of uncommon and rare plants. They were more just very niche plants. You know, if you like those variegated plants, this is the place you go. If you wanted to get some really cool looking syngoniums, this was the place to go. But like this one, for instance, is Syngonium Pink Salmon, for instance. I think this was for what, $35. I definitely want to get this plant. This is another one of those syngoniums I don't have. I am happy that I am replenishing my syngonium collection. I feel like a lot of my syngoniums have been rehabbed and are looking better. You know, whenever you want to grow syngoniums, if you take them outside, if they're not doing well inside, take them outside, give it about a month, and they will bounce back, or at least that's my experience, and it has worked for me. Over here, Syngonium Strawberry Ice. This one doesn't have nearly as great variegation, but needless to say, I do like that dark foliage. With Syngonium Strawberry Ice, the only problem with that Syngonium is it is a very slow grower. Most Syngoniums are pretty vigorous growers. That one is not. And then this was another Aglaonema that I wanted to buy. This is an Aglaonema Emerald Pink. Beautiful Aglaonema color. Again, I just don't understand why people are not talking about Aglaonemas, or why people in the United States are just not Googling over Aglaonemas. Like, that is a beautiful plant, and it's an easy to care for plant that has so many different varieties. It's just crazy. But maybe it's because we don't get these different types of varieties of Aglaonema available. Typically, when you go to a big box store, you'll see like an Aglaonema Silver Bay, an Aglaonema Red Siam, you know, maybe an Aglaonema Maria. But those are beautiful plants. And again, Plantfoldies, if you are new to Aglaonema, do your research, try growing an Aglaonema. I really hope that we can continue to get more interest in that plant. Now, this one right here, beautiful Philodendron, Congo Nuclear, beautiful plant. And then you can see they got some more variegated plants right over here. Like, I don't know what this is. I think this is a variegated Domesticanum. Beautiful variegation. I love how the new leaf unfurls to be more of like a neon color. And then you can see right there, there's another Aglaonema Pink Emerald right there. Love that. I love this this booth. This is another booth that I needed to go buy some plants from, but alas, you know, my budget, it just ran out. I'm just telling you, Plantfoldies, I just ran out of money, and that's okay because I got the majority of plants that I did get at PlantCon. They were worth it. If you haven't seen my PlantCon haul of all the plants, definitely check that out. Again, I do have a PlantCon playlist, so if you want to binge me on that and just watch that one evening, definitely do that. I would love it, and just leave some comments for me. Now this one right here is a Philodendron Whipple Way, so it looks similar to a Philodendron Snowdrift, but this is far more expensive of a Philodendron. This one is more of like the juvenile form. And then we have some more of my wish list plants. Let's take a look at some of the other plants we have over here. You can see we have, let me see if I can bring this down, another type of Syngonium. Now, I don't know what the Syngonium is. Oh, it is a Syngonium variegated batik. I happen to own this variegated Syngonium batik. This one is selling for, I think, $85. I saw some people selling it for $100. I got mine for such a good price, and I'm super happy because the variegated Syngonium batik is actually not a slow growing Syngonium, so I'll be able to propagate it, possibly sell it, possibly give it as gifts. We'll see. Now here is another Philodendron variegated caramel marble. This is more of the juvenile form. Still really expensive plant. That one is for $265. And then we also have another one right over here. So if anybody ever wants to give me a plant, you can give me a Philodendron caramel marble. I would love it. There's just so many plants, and I actually ended up getting a gift from one of my Plantfoldy viewers. Kevin, again, thank you so much for the variegated Alocasia you left at Peta's Planters. That was super kind of you. I did not expect that at all, but that's what makes the Plantfoldies group, the Plantfoldies that watch my videos, just the best viewers and subscribers ever. You guys have always been kind to me, and I hope that I still continue bringing you guys some type of plant entertainment. The live premiere chats are always fun because you guys always tune in to chat with me on a nightly basis. And now I know that the last couple of days I haven't been able to produce daily ones, but I have tried. Now this is another Monstera Thai constellation at Steve's Leaves. So, you know, I'll be wrapping up this day 2 at PlantCon in Dallas 2024, but I will say that this has been such an amazing experience. I've met so many cool people. I met so many Plantfoldies, and I've been able to see beautiful Monsteras like this. This is from Wild Roots. I did want to come around here and show you how gorgeous this plant is. Now, if I could only afford it, I would have totally bought it because that is a showstopper of a Monstera. Wild Roots is one of my favorite new nurseries that I got to really see their plants. I'm so thankful that I was able to find that plant as well, just that plant nursery, and just being able to meet the family behind Wild Roots. Definitely want to wish them the best of luck as they continue to grow their business. I'm hoping that I will also be able to travel to New Braunfels to film their plants, because when I say they had some amazing plants, that is an understatement. And I did want to show you, this is a Monstera Green Snow that I am hoping to be able to grow my tissue culture plant. So it's basically a little plant vial that I bought for $20. The risky part about tissue culture is how do you acclimate that plant? I did some research, so I am going to be filming the journey. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button. As always, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one.